Good morning, Jason.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is Saif Ahmedbui, and I'm the head of content for the Nordic IT Security Summit, the Financial Institutions Edition. Here we have with us Jason Lau. He is the CISO from Crypto.com. I'm really excited because he's one of our very important speakers of the event. Just would like to give you a little background about him. So he's the award-winning in cybersecurity and privacy, and over 20 years in consulting experience for Fortune 200 companies in management consulting, cybersecurity, data privacy, risk compliance, and IT governance, and traveled extensively and worked closely with organizations in Australia, Switzerland, Singapore, USA, and Hong Kong. So we are going to talk about security and privacy risk in digital finance with Jason Lau. Jason, I would like to actually go straight to the questions.
Sure.
All right. The first question to you is, could you please shed some light on pre-COVID and current situation when it comes to digital finance and how security and privacy have been impacted?
Sure, that's a good question to start off with, I guess. I think one of the big differences between pre-COVID and post-COVID is how the rapid acceleration of digital finance has picked up during this COVID period. So I like to always use the term dirty money giving rise to digital finance or digital money. And no pun intended, but when I talk about the dirty money, I'm not talking about illegal money or fraudulent money. I'm talking physically dirty money. So in Hong Kong, where I'm living, we're one of the financial hubs of the world. But when you get into a taxi, most of the taxis still accept physical cash. But if you go to some other countries around the world, it's either by credit card or some other payment method. So during this phase of COVID, we are actually seeing a more wider adoption of alternative payment systems. Whether it's paying via a digital payment card or a cryptocurrency, or whether it's through a virtual bank type of payment system. So because of this rapid acceleration of digital finance, and it's backed by virtual banks and other technology companies, we're seeing a lot of security and privacy concerns. So when you think about from an onboarding perspective, we're seeing a lot more risks, a lot more security concerns when you're onboarding new customers. And then from a usage perspective, how are companies actually looking after that data for their customers around the world? So if you look across the border from Hong Kong, you look into China, massive acceleration during this COVID period of WeChat, Alipay, etc., that have an app that links everything from your day-to-day personal finance and transactions through to your COVID tracking status and where you've been as well. So we're seeing a lot of technology uptick during this period of time. And of course, from a traditional finance perspective, when you look at the whole work from home aspect of security now, this is actually another major risk area. We're looking at people doing all of their business e-banking transfers and transactions from home instead of being in an office. We're seeing people doing a lot more online e-banking instead of physically going to branches. So the home office environment is a major security risk for all of the security folk working in this industry.
Mm-hmm. Great. I mean, this was really insightful, and I agree. Things have changed a lot when it comes to COVID, and we have seen a lot of changes, and we have to actually adapt quite earlier than we're supposed to, I guess. But that's just my opinion. So moving to the next question, what are some of the emerging risks you are seeing in the fintech, blockchain, cryptocurrency space in the past few years?
Yeah, that's another good question. I think specifically in the field that I'm in, so I'm in the fintech space and a very niche of cryptocurrency. So when you look at the last few years, as per your question, the majority of the hacks that have actually happened when crypto exchanges or fintech companies have their private keys stolen, and as a result of having their private keys stolen, the hackers basically flush all of the funds out That's basically the way that they attack. Most of these attacks have happened over the last few years, and what's evolved now, it's becoming much more of it's not just stealing the private keys, but it's about how we can actually be smarter. We've got new ways to actually attack organizations now. So if you don't do your smart contract audits, potentially using the whole decentralized finance model, it's all really based on smart contracts. We can actually filter out money through the smart contract directly without even coming to you and your organization. So there's a lot of other different risks that are emerging. We're seeing a huge amount of DeFi. We're seeing now non-fungible tokens and all of these areas of new emerging technology with blockchain. Companies need to make sure that they still do their audits, their due diligence, and embed security by design as part of the whole secure software development lifecycle. So it's no good anymore to deploy something, then hope, I always say hope is dope, and then wait for the auditors outside to audit. Because with the blockchain, once your smart contracts and your deployment is done, then that's already there. It's very difficult to modify later on. So you need to make sure you do the right type of due diligence beforehand. So that's blockchain side, cryptocurrency side, but then there's so many other risks from the security sides and privacy sides with the amount of data that all of these organizations are storing. People are actually very worried about what type of data is being stored, and therefore, are you actually upholding the rights of my consent? And we're seeing many big companies struggling to match what's needed by the regulators in regards to data privacy. So these are definitely some risks as well.
Wow. Well, I would say good days are coming. I hope so. All right. So moving to the final questions to you.
Sure.
How can organizations protect themselves from these emerging technologies? For example, implementing blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, etc.
Sure. So I think going back to what I had just mentioned, I think one of the key things is not to just jump straight into the technology. I think one of the biggest risk factors for all of these companies that have been hit is that either they just following the trend, or you're using it for the sake of using it, or they feel that it's there, so we need to adopt it. Unfortunately, this whole digital transformation phase that we're in at the moment, businesses need to go back to the basics. They need to understand the business strategy first. Then once they've got a strategy, they can use these technologies as their enabler to help them to execute these strategies. But before doing all of that, you need to also make sure you do your standard due diligence, your risk assessments. In this whole new phase of data protection, you need to do privacy impact assessments, you do security impact assessments. And that needs to be embedded into the life cycle, no longer kind of, we always say that it's almost kind of a phrase that everybody's been saying for a very long time already. Don't kind of bolt it on at the end. You need to bake it in from the very beginning. But unfortunately, because of the rapid growth of all of these companies, it's sometimes difficult to actually bake it in from the beginning. So companies just need to consistently keep on driving this, and the regulators realize this, and that's why there's such massive fines from the EU regulators, the GDPR, and others around the world that are following. So it's really important that organizations understand that building trust is actually paramount. And in order to build trust, you need to make sure that you do the right type of due diligence within your organization. When you do any particular project, any particular service, if you want to build trust, you have to go through that whole process internally, and also do your external audits and things like that on the outside as well.
Great. Thank you so very much, Jason. I think our audience is going to love listening to you, and I think it was really insightful. Once again, I would like to thank you so much for joining us. For this is the 15th annual Nordic IT Security Financial Institution Edition. I couldn't actually imagine having such an event, such a conference without you. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
As digital transformation has accelerated, so has the threat environment, and SecOps teams need a solution that connects these dots. Cyware understands. That's why we've built the only cyber fusion platform in the industry that brings next-generation SOAR and threat intelligence together, putting teams back in control of security operations, connecting the dots across the security stack, and eliminating analyst fatigue. Cyber fusion is the future of cyber threat response.
Your company needs the best tech now, but the IAM tools you run today aren't designed to manage life outside the firewall. Without the right infrastructure, your IT team just tries to hold it together. The Okta Identity Cloud connects to all your apps and devices in days, not months. Your employees, contractors, and partners get a single, secure way to access everything they need instantly. When identity is in the cloud, everybody gets to work faster and happier. Okta.